The stock market does not represent the world, and yet I feel like we always look at it as a point of reference, but we should not. It doesn't even represent 1% of the world, so I definitely want to talk about that in this video today. I always say the stock market is heavily manipulated, but I don't really get into those deep details, so I want to get into that today. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve and how they play a part in manipulating the stock market, also the companies and how we fund all these things, okay? So keep your locks for all that and more. It's Crystal with the Cash Compass. All right, welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have in school about money, but for whatever reason, they forgot to mention it. Please be sure to subscribe because we talk about everything from personal finance to investing into the economy. Let's get into it. Okay, I feel like we have this problem with a lot of things. It's not only the stock market, but for whatever reason, we associate a small fraction of the world and we kind of let that define the whole country, whatever country we're talking about. For example, people say things like, oh, America is the richest country in the world, but it's like, wake up, okay? I think a lot of that wealth is for the top 10%. I don't know about you, but I know more people who are living a very average life as opposed to a very rich life, okay? So that's only like the top 10%. We also say, and actually no, it's not we, it's really Trump, but people tend to say, oh, look, the economy is doing great because the stock market is going up. But the stock market does not truly represent the heart and soul and the bread and butter of America. And to put that in context for you, let me explain this. There's a couple of indices, right? There's actually thousands of different stock indexes or indices. Yes, stock indices, right? There's plenty of them, but we only seem to focus on these major three, which is the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ. People also talk about the Wilshire, but even with the Wilshire, okay, let me break this down, okay? Let's talk about all the businesses in America. Before I get too deep into this video, I do want to give a huge shout out to TEAMI. I am still using their products that I talked about in this video up here, so definitely check that out if you want to. But these products are still holding it down for your girl. As you can see, I don't know if you can, but I'm using it. You can see that, okay? So I'm not just telling you, get it, buy it, But what I am saying is if you're interested, if you want to, relax, get therapeutic energy. If you're interested, definitely use my code that I'm going to put right here and click this link in my description so it will take you right to their website and you can get your vibes on. All right, let's get back into it. So again, for perspective, there is over 5 million businesses in America, okay? 5.6 million to be exact. But let's say that number is grossly overestimating things, right? Because some people who are freelancers, like your Ubers, your Lyfts, people who take pictures, like people who are independent contractors, they would consider that a business, even though it's not technically a business who hires people. So let's just say crazy amount. Let's say that number is 95% wrong and it's only 5% of the 5.6 million that they're claiming that we have. Okay, that would leave us with 280,000 different companies in America. Even if we use the Wilshire index, which has over 5,000 stocks, that would only represent 2% of all the businesses in America. And mind you, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ have even less than 5,000 companies. So it's a really small fraction, like I said, about the wealth. Stock market is a very small fraction of all the businesses that we actually have in America, because a lot of the businesses, if not the majority of the businesses, are not even on these different stock exchanges, okay? And then let's talk about this, which is kind of like things that no one really mentions. Why do we compare the stock market to different asset classes? It's not the same, okay? So for example, you'll hear some people say, oh, you should get into the stock market. The stock market performs better than any other asset class out there. Like they'll compare the stock market to gold. That's not apples to apples, okay? And let me tell you why. Gold is gold is gold, okay? No matter which way you cut it, you can put whatever pretty design you want on it. It just amounts to gold. You can't swap out gold for anything else. It's just gold. These stock markets, right? The Dow index, the S&P, all of them. If they don't like how something is performing, or if it's no longer relevant, which means you're gonna get rid of it. Obviously, that means it's not performing, right? If it's not performing well, they can just take that out and replace it with a different stock. So when you're saying the stock market always goes up, well, yeah, no shit. If I could definitely pick and choose which years of my life was great, my life could always be great. There would be no bad years, right? And it's kind of the same thing with the stock market. If you can kind of swap in and out different stocks depending on how well they're performing and only pick assets that are really doing well, why wouldn't it go up? The stock market has a lot of different ways that it can get manipulated, and we're going to get into that right now. So like I mentioned, we have the Dow Jones, S&P, and the NASDAQ, which is what you'll mostly see. Like if you go on CNBC.com, like they'll have those kind of flashing across the top, okay? The Dow Jones is made up of the 30 largest companies in America. 30. And remember, I told you we have over 5 million, okay? So I don't even want to do the math on that. That's definitely not even 1%, okay? The NASDAQ is mostly technological stocks, and they have over 3,000 stocks. So it's a little bit better, right? But like I told you before, the Wilshire has 5,000, and that wouldn't even make up 2% of my fake number. But if we compared it to the 5.6 million I was talking about, it would be not even a tenth of a percent. There's a preference for the S&P 500 over the Dow Jones because they actually account for the market capitalization, which is basically, like the value, right, of the stock versus just the price of the stock, okay? But no matter which way you want to do the math, it's still a weighted average, right? So larger companies will be able to manipulate that point system more than smaller companies. And for perspective, Apple is the largest on the S&P 500, okay? And it makes up 6% of the S&P 500, which might not sound like a lot, but it would literally take the bottom 192 companies to make the same kind of impact that Apple would make, okay? So almost 200 companies would have to make up Apple's one company. If you took the top five S&P companies, okay, it would take 370 of the lowest companies to make up the top 5. So you can see what I'm saying here, right? Those companies almost don't even matter. Not to be rude, no disrespect if your company's on the S&P 500, but it really should be the S&P 5 if you're keeping it 100. So why do we so heavily rely on this when it doesn't even represent the true America, right? I mean, that could be said for Congress also. I don't want to get off topic, but it's like they make 6 figures. Why are they trying to speak for us people, the average Americans? It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know. Let me know what you think. So that's one way they can be manipulated, right? Because they can pick and choose what they want to add in there to make their the points look better, okay? They also can buy back their own stocks. Of course, with some of the stimulus that has gone through, that is quote unquote prevented, but the Federal Reserve has no such restrictions. And the Federal Reserve has actually offered to have corporate debt, okay? They would be buying up corporate debt. And that might not sound like a big deal, but it's basically the Federal Reserve picking and choosing winners, right? Because the Federal Reserve has really great interest rates that we would never see. So they'll say, I'll go ahead and give Apple this like 0.25% interest rate, or I'll go ahead and give Microsoft this 0.25% interest rate. These major companies can get that money for the low, and they could potentially just kind of roll it over. So is it even really a loan if the interest rate that you're paying is less than inflation, and if you can roll it over to eternity? I don't think so. So they get this money, and what can they do? They can buy back their stocks. That can push the price back up and make it look good. That's manipulation. Maybe people don't think so, but I think if you can kind of buy things and kind of structure things in a way where you can make your price look better, even though you haven't even given any extra production or extra innovation or extra growth, that's manipulation. So these major indices can pick and choose who they want to have in their club. The Federal Reserve can pick and choose who they want to fund and give these rock bottom interest rates to. These big corporations can pick and choose whether they want to buy back their stocks or not. And you and I can't even pick and choose whether we want to wear a mask or not. Because if you don't, the mask army gonna come after you. I mean, where's our choices? At one point, I couldn't even pick what kind of toilet paper I wanted. I had to just kind of take what I could get, right? So our choices are very, very slim, and they can kind of pick and choose whatever they want to. So because of all this manipulation and because of all this kind of, fancy accounting, it's really hard to tell what is really real out here because they can always pick and choose numbers and make it look good even though it isn't. And that's happening a lot. This is why I have my channel, because I want to kind of expose all that is going on. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair, but it is reality, right? What can we do? We can get educated about this and we can make moves that actually make sense. But that is it. If you like this video, then please like this video and share with your friends. And if you're not doing anything else, you know what I'm going to say. Go ahead and binge watch me. And until next time, keep your money up.